Okay. Oh, and there we go. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Happy not so spring-like day. I think it was in the mid 30s last night and it actually snowed. So it has been pretty cold and damp. So let's kind of get into, especially with the barometric pressure changes. I feel like I've been feeling it in the joints a little bit, and I know people have been talking about that. So we're going to do a little bit of joint mobilization again. And then we'll go into a really cool 5 element flow that I just learned. And yeah, so let's start. We're actually going to start off with, well, we'll start off with some breath and then we'll go right into some silk reeling. So let's do one hand on the lower abdomen and one hand on the chest. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Just drop into the present moment, meaning we start to place our attention on the breath, slowing the breath down, right? It pulls our attention out of our head and places it more in the physical, right? So you might find that your head starts to clear. You get a little bit more clarity. And the nervous system starts to really settle in. So let's just first take a few minutes or moments and connect to our breath, really feeling the inhales and exhales. And then we're going to start the class with silk reeling. So it's clasp the fingers. I think we did this last class. I'm teaching a couple of classes now, so I forget what I teach when. But let's clasp the fingers and we'll start by moving the wrists. So the fingers are clasped and we're just moving the wrists like a little snake. It's opening up the front of the forearms and the back. So we're into the fingers. So it's starting to get a little bit of fluidity in here, right? We focus a lot on the major joints in qigong because that's where things tend to get stuck. And just like water that's flowing, right? There's movement, there's life. If water doesn't move, it becomes kind of stagnant and things start growing like algae. So if you think of that, like our energy centers, if energy is moving, we feel good, we feel loose. If it's not moving, it gets stuck, and that's when we tend to feel more pain. Now let's start to get into the elbows. So you're gonna keep your torso kind of upright. So you don't want to really do too much leaning because the point is that you want to move the joints rather than this in this particular exercise. So really kind of focus on lifting the elbow slightly, bringing it forward. And you can see how my hip is coming forward. So if the right arm is coming forward, the right hip is coming forward and then pulls back. And then the left one reaches forward and then pulls back. So you have this connection with the hip and the arm, but we're really allowing, right, the shoulder girdle to move. So the elbow comes up and then forward and down, and the opposite comes up, forward and down. So it's really good to get circulation gently throughout the entire shoulder and also the hip. So exhaling as we come down. Inhale as we come up, really stretching those lines. So see if you can get that elbow up just a little bit more and then all the way forward and then pull it back. And then we'll stop here. And now let's go in the opposite direction. So bring that elbow back and then down, back and then down. You feel some nice movement, but gently, right? It's like a little miniature backstroke here, except your hands are clasped. So we're oiling the joints, making sure these joints are moving, right? That helps enliven them, keep them nice and lubricated and less creaky. And then let's come back to the center. Keep your hands clasped, but just stretch your arms out in front of you so that your palms are facing you. And then as you inhale, draw your hands in towards your chest and then flip the hands out so they're facing forward. And then exhale, sinking the chest slightly. So as we inhale, you're going to open up the chest, draw the hands in, and then a nice slow exhale as you stretch the arms forward. You should feel a nice stretch through the space between the shoulder blades. So we're stretching the mechanics of the breath while also stretching the lines of tension in the upper back and shoulders. So nice and slowly. So we move slowly so that we're able to really enjoy the benefits, right, of a full stretch. So exhaling as we stretch forward, and then inhale as we draw in. Now keep the hands stretched out so you can breathe normally now, but your arms are still stretched forward. Take a nice inhale, and as we exhale, you're just going to bring the arms over to the left. So you're getting a nice stretch through the front arm and the shoulder of that right arm. And then you can just gently turn and look over to the right. So your arms are stretched over to the left. And then come to the center as you inhale. And now stretch those arms over to the right and you turn and look left. And then inhale back to the center and then slowly stretch over to the left and in to the center again. Let's do it a couple more times. A nice slow stretch. You should feel it in that front arm, the outer aspect, all the way into the shoulder, into the center, and then exhale. Now keep those hands clasped. Just stretch them up towards the sky. And then we're going to lean over to the left. So press through the right foot, right? So you have a nice long stretch all the way from the outer ankle, up the leg, through the hips, into the rib cage, all the way up. And you can breathe here, so don't hold your breath. And now inhale to the center, and then exhale over to the right. It should feel really nice through the sides of the rib cage. And then inhale to the center. Now exhale the arms down, and let's shake them out. So now we'll do another version of a stretch for the shoulders. So let's take your left hand and place it on your low back. So it can be down by your lumbar area, or if you want to use your other hand and sort of sneak that hand up a little bit so that your hand is more between your shoulder blades, whatever feels good. I mean, it depends on how open your shoulder is. So if you need to have it down a little bit, that's totally fine. If you are really flexible in your shoulder girdle and this feels more comfortable, so whatever feels good for you. And take your right arm so it's perpendicular to the ground in front of you. And then take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, you're going to rotate over to the left. And as you do, you're going to take your right arm around so it starts to press towards the back of the room. So you're just bringing your arm around and stretching it towards the back of the room. And then slowly come back to the center. And now we'll rotate over to the right and continue to open up so your shoulder's like a goalpost. You're going to continue to rotate over to the right. And as you do, your right, the inner part of your shoulder is going to be nice and stretched open. So kind of bring your arm as far back as you can that it feels comfortable. We should feel a nice stretch into the front of the shoulder. And then exhale, slowly come back to the center. Nice inhale, and then we'll do that again. So we're exhaling, rotating, and pressing the hand to the back of the room. And then unfold, inhale. And then now exhale back over to the right, opening up the front of that right shoulder. Let's do it one more time. So inhale to the center, and then exhale, rotate. And then again, one more time, inhale to the center, and then exhale, rotate. Now inhale to the center, drop the arms down for a moment. You might feel already a nice tingling sensation, especially through that right shoulder. And let's do the opposite side. So take your right hand, place it again either on the lower back, or you can sneak it up so that it's a little higher up. It's a little bit more of an intense stretch. So I only advocate what feels the right level for you. And now let's take the left arm so it's perpendicular to the ground. Take a nice slow inhale. And as we exhale, now you're going to rotate over to the right. Bring that arm all the way across and then press towards the back of the room on the exhale. And then slowly unwind on the inhale. And then continuing to rotate now over to the left. And that arm comes all the way back. So you stretch the front of the shoulder on the exhale. And then slowly come back to the center. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale to the center. Exhale over to the left. Inhale to the center. Let's do that one more time to each side. So nice full rotation, really squeezing out the air on the exhale. And then inhale, coming back to the center. And then one last exhale. Inhale to the center, drop the arms down, shake them all out. So it's a lot of work opening the shoulders, which is really great, right? Keeping the shoulders healthy, as we know, is important. So, especially if we're used to kind of hunching over a little bit with our, habituated posture, kind of opening up the shoulder girdle is really great, bringing some stretching into this area. So let's do some chi massage now. So let's just get everything activated now that this whole area is nice and open. Let's start in the chest, moving up and down the center of the sternum. Just releasing maybe some emotional stagnation that is maybe weighing a little heavy here. And then come to the front of the right shoulder, open up your hand. And now we'll travel down the inside of the arm, past the elbow, down to the palms and the fingertips. And now come from the fingertips up the outside of the arm, all the way to the shoulder. And then let's repeat that 2 more times. And then once we're back up, let's come back to the center of the chest. Come over to the front of the left shoulder now and open up your hand. And then again, travel down the inside. And then from the fingertips outside, the way back out. One more time. Back to the center of the chest, down to the solar plexus. So above your belly button, below the sternum. And now let's go the same trajectory as your intestines. So we're going to come over. I'm mirroring you. Come over to your left, go down, come across, and then up the right. So I'm mirroring you. So you should be coming over to your right, come up the right side, over to the left, and then down. So we're following the trajectory of the intestines. It's creating a nice circle. Sending some energy into all these organs in here. Keeping them nice and healthy. And now just over the center of the belly button. And now come around to the lower back. Moving up and down. So from the base of the rib cage down, all this whole area, which tends to get a little tight. And now from here, we're going to go to the back of the glutes, the back of the legs, past the knees, down the calves, all the way to the feet, and then come up the inside. So the inside of your legs, past the knees, inner hips, and then we'll do that again. So all the way down. And all the way up. And then one more time. And then let's stay just below the belly button for a moment. And then drop your arms down and let's just pause here for a moment. You can close your eyes, right? As things are activated, energy starts circulating, we become more aware of it, all the sensations. Okay, so now let's go into a wider stance. We're going to do a little moving the body like a river before we go into our flows. So come to a wide stance, hands on your thighs, and then let's start shifting the weight from the right foot to the left, and then allowing the body to roll over to one side and then the other. Getting a nice stretch through the hip, activating those big muscles in your legs, the quads, right? The glutes. Really good for return blood flow, right? Our heart is a great pump. It pumps things out, right? But we don't have a similar pump in our feet, right? The blood has to come back up and go back to become reoxygenated in the lungs and then back to the heart. So that's why exercise is really important, right? Because it forces us to contract the lower body muscles, and that helps facilitate return flow of that blood. else things start to pool, right? If we're too sedentary or if the muscles become too weak. So we're really helping our systemic circulation. And we're helping the fluidity of the spine. Now come to the center, hands together. Let's connect back to the breath. So inhale and look up. And exhale, back together. And again, inhale. And exhale, and again. So we are going back into that same movement with a little slight variation. So if your feet are facing forward, this actually might be a little bit more easy if you just turn your toes slightly out. So if instead of your feet facing forward, slightly out. And we're going to come back into our gentle squat here. Your hands are on your thighs. So we're going to maintain that same shifting of the weight right to left. But now we're going to add in a little side stretch. So the next time we come over to the right, let your right elbow rest on your thigh and stretch that left arm up towards the corner of the room. And then drop the arm down as we come back to the center. And now we're leaning our left arm on our left thigh, and then reaching the right hand towards the corner of the room. So you see there's a nice line all the way from the outer ankle up the side of the body through the fingertips. And then come back to the center. And then inhale, side stretch. So your elbow is resting on your thigh as you stretch up. And then come back to the center. And then, so as we do this, so you see my right leg is straight, my left is bent. And now they're both bend as we come back to the center. Now this time we straighten that right leg as we stretch the right arm up. So it's a little combination of moving the body like a river and a side angle stretch, which opens up the rib cage, the hip. Just a few more. So as we lean over, we're inhaling and exhaling as we come to the center. And inhale. Resting the elbow on the thigh. And now let's come back to the center. Slowly roll up. Hands to the center of the chest, and let's connect back to the breath. So inhale, look up. And slow exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, let's bring our feet back to a shorter stance. And let's shake everything out. So a little pumping action in the lower legs or the knees, and then a pumping action through the wrists, the elbows. Let the head be nice and loose. And start to slow down. Okay, now we get to start our flows. So the first, we're going to work a little bit with the five elements in general, but the concept of the earth energy. Nowadays, we talk about just gravity. They didn't say the word gravity 2000 years ago, but they talked about earth energy and how we are we rise up from the earth as human beings. We are part of this earth field, this gravitational pull. So we're going to start with the arms in a semicircle, and we'll go into pulling up the earth. So just like we plant seeds, right? We nourish the seeds with earth, literally, and then they start to grow and become plants, and we get to eat them, and then becomes part of us. And then, there's this beautiful cycle. So energetically, right? We're going to inhale, pulling all the way up, and then flip the hands so they're facing the ceiling. And now just exhale, let the arms come down the sides, all the way back down. So the beginning looks like Buddha holding up the earth, but the difference is as we inhale, we come all the way up, the arms spread out to the sides and come down nice and slowly. And the knees can bend slightly as you come down. And as we inhale, imagine you're just straightening up, growing up out of the earth, palms face the ceiling, and then nice, slow exhale as we return back down. So just imagine that we can, just as plants draw on the nutrients from the soil, from the water that's in the ground, right? We can tap into a certain frequency, right, of the earth. The concept of grounding or forest bathing, where you go outside and you're in the forest, just kind of taking it in, or you're barefoot on grass. It is a pretty healing activity, right? So we can kind of draw in and pull in that healing nourishment from this earth energy below us to help us heal, to help us feel connected and vibrant and at peace. A nice slow inhale and a nice slow exhale. You can even imagine, right, as we draw in, maybe this golden, a little color to it, a little golden light all the way up. And as you exhale, you're creating this golden orb that surrounds you, this golden healing ball of light, right, that you are enveloped in. The part of this practice is aligning ourselves with these different types of energies so that we're drawing in and nourishing ourselves energetically rather than being in the sort of reactive, sympathetic fight or flight that is really can be very detrimental. I mean, it's there for a reason to keep us safe and out of harm's way. But on a day-to-day basis, when we're not in danger imminently, right, that it's producing a physiological effect that is really more going to be zapping and draining versus lifting up and feeling joyful and at peace. So we're learning to change that dial. How do we want to feel? And we can create that first with these movements. And as we do, our attention is focused on these movements, our minds start to settle and clear. And now we're moving our mind, our bodies, and our emotions all in alignment. Let's do one more inhale. Now let's exhale the hands down into our chi ball for a moment. So the palms face one another. You can let them pull apart, pull back in. So the next flow that we are going into is a 5-element flow, and we'll use the sounds again. And I know when I'm on Zoom, and it might be the AirPods, when I do the sounds, I think it gets cut out or something happens with the audio. So I'm going to just remind you, in case you can't hear what I'm actually doing, the sounds are for the lung, it's that TSSS. So like your tongue is between the palate and the top of your teeth. The kidney, the water element, is CHOOO. So, and then the liver is like you're shushing someone. So, shh. The spleen, the earth element, is like you're trying to fog up a window. The heart is HAAA. And then the triple burner is HEEE. So even if you don't do all of those, just breathe. It's all good. So let's just start by touching the fingers of the right hand to the left, meaning let's touch the thumbs together, then the index fingers, then the middle, the ring, and the pinky fingers, and lightly touch them. So they're just maintaining a little contact, right? And maybe you feel just a little spark of energy between each of these fingers. The fingertips are where many of the meridians start and end. So there's a connection. There's a deep connection to how we're bringing in or interacting with the world, a lot of energy in our fingertips. So take a nice, slow inhale, just paying attention to the space between the fingertips. Now I'm going to bring the fingertips of the right hand to touch the thumb, and the left fingers touch the thumb. So you're in a little like bird beak. I'm going to inhale the bird beaks out to the sides. Now release the fingers, and you're going to touch just the thumb and the index finger together as you turn the hands up, and exhale, they come down towards your waist. Now inhale and draw them back so your chest opens. Now release those fingers, and then the back of the hands are going to come together. So bringing the arms around in a circle. So the back of the hands come towards one another. And then you're just going to float them back into the center. And as we float back in, touch the thumbs, the index finger, middle, ring, and pinky. Inhale and exhale. So we'll go through that sequence again before we add the sounds. So the fingers touch the thumbs. We inhale the bird beaks out to the side. And then we just touch the thumb and the index finger as we exhale, bringing the arms floating back down. Now pull them back. So your elbows are kind of by your rib cage or your waist. Inhale. So you get a nice deep inhale, the chest opens. And then as we exhale, the back of the hands float out towards one another. And then we touch again the thumb, index, ring, middle, and pinky together. So again, the fingers pull in as we inhale to the sides. Thumb and index finger touch as we exhale down. Keeping that mudra. Inhale as we draw back in. And then back of the hands float out towards one another on the exhale. And then we straighten up as we pull back in, thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky. Exhale. And then inhale. Thumb and index finger, exhale. Inhale, draw in as we open up the chest. Back of the hands float out together. And then they spiral back in as the fingers touch. So that's the flow. Inhale to the sides. Exhale, index finger with thumb. Inhale. Exhale. And then inhale. So now we're going to repeat that many times. And on the exhale, as we float out, the back of the hands come together, that's when we're going to do the sounds. So keep the fingers together. Now on the inhale, hands out. Exhale, the thumb and the index finger together. Nice inhale, opening the chest. And now exhale with the metal sound. TSS. Inhale, touching the fingers together. Exhale. So we start the inhale, floating the arms out in our little bird beaks. Thumb and index finger come together as we drop the arms down. And then inhale, opening the chest. This time the water element is chew, CHOOO. And then inhale again, touching those fingertips together. Exhale. Inhale, arms float out. Index finger and thumb touch as we exhale. And then inhale, opening the chest. Now the liver is that SHHH. Fingers touch. Exhale. Inhale. Thumb and index finger touch on the exhale, and then inhale. Now the heart, HAAA. Inhale, drawing back in, the fingertips touch. And exhale. Now inhale, they float out again. Thumb and index finger as we exhale down. And then drawing in, pulling the arms in as we open the chest. Now the earth, WHOOA, that you're fogging up a window. Next, inhale, coming out, thumb and index fingers, we exhale. Inhale, we draw in and open the chest. Now HEEE, it's a triple burner. And bring the fingers to touch again. And let's just pause here for a moment. Now let the arms drop down. So we're going to inhale the arms out to the sides. And then as your fingers come towards the crown of your head, touch your index fingers, the back of the nail beds of your index fingers together. So they're pointing down towards the crown of your head. Now, the space, if you can imagine, this is an acupuncture point called do 20. It's at the very, very crown of your head. It's like basically if you drew a line from your top of your ears to touch at the top of your head, that's the point. Just imagine that you are sending energy from your fingers through the center of your head, right into the center of your brain. Now, very gently, let your elbows come a little closer together so your elbows come forward. And as we do, exhale, bring your arms all the way down. So we'll go over that again. We'll inhale all the way up. Let's touch the nail beds of the index finger together, pointing towards the crown of the head. Sending energy through the very tippity top crown of your head into the center of your brain. Now exhale, bring the elbows close together and then drop the arms down. So the arms float up, pointing right into the center of the brain. And then elbows fall in towards one another, and then we exhale down. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, back of the fingers together, right into the center of the head. The elbows come together as we exhale, and the arms float back down. And then last one, we'll inhale. Right into, so do 20. It's a point that we use very often to help raise, we say raise clear energy, right? It's great if you're feeling tired or foggy headed. It has a connection to all of the energy of the body. And then the elbows fall in towards one another and then exhale all the way down. And let's come to bamboo, bamboo in the wind. So feet together, one hand on the lower abdomen and the other on top. And pause here, feeling your feet really connected to the ground. We don't have actual roots like trees, but we can imagine energetically there's a connection. I mean, we are literally being held onto earth by gravity. So there is an element, right, where we are grounded. So we're leaning into that. Imagine that you have these roots that are spreading through the top of the earth underneath and creating this really beautiful wide network. And we're just drawing in through this intricate network, drawing in all of this nourishing energy from the ground below. And as we do, the crown of your head reaches up towards the sky. And when you're ready, you can crack your eyes open. Thank you, everyone. I hope you, let me stop this.